Welcome to the Abundance Effect, where we empower ambitious women with practical tools to live their most rich and fulfilling life in business and beyond. I'm your host, Larisa McCooch. Let's get started. Welcome to the Abundance Effect. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to share a quick thank you. Erin recently left a review saying that she loves the straightforward, no-nonsense way that I share practical tools. Simple to incorporate, and they actually work. Thank you, Erin. It means so much coming from you. If this podcast has been helpful for you, I'd love for you to leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It genuinely helps the show reach even more thoughtful, growth-oriented listeners just like you. All right, let's dive in. I'm going to let you in on something I have been doing since high school. I sleep with a notepad beside my bed. Not my phone, not a fancy journal, a little notepad and a pen each and every night. Why do I do this? Because my mind has always raced. And for some reason, when I'm half asleep, when I'm cozy, when my brain is drifting, it's almost gone, that's when the good stuff shows up. That's when the ideas come. That's when the insights are there. That's when solutions, they pop up. Boom, boom, boom. And sometimes prayers, they even feel like they're answered before I even ask the question. So if I don't write things down, these ideas, these insights, these divine downloads, they're poof, deleted. So if you've ever had a brilliant idea at night and thought, I'll remember this tomorrow, you probably already know how the story ends. Not in a good way. So I have done this for decades now. Sometimes it's elegant. Sometimes it's complete nonsense. Half sentences, bad handwriting. I'm great at writing in the dark. Occasionally I read something later and think like, what in God's name was I talking about? But here's the funny part. I almost never review these notes daily. And people are always surprised by that. They think that productivity is about idea hoarding or building some kind of genius vault. It's not. It's about peace of mind. Because here's the thing, once it's on paper, my brain can rest. It does not have to guard the thought. It does not have to rehearse it. It doesn't have to keep me awake. Once it's out of the head and onto paper, all of a sudden, I can sleep. And I like sleeping. I sleep really, really well. So here's what science has to say about it. Let's talk about why this actually works. This isn't just a quirky Larisa habit. When you're drifting off to sleep, your brain enters what's called a hypnagogic state. This is the sweet spot between when you're awake and when you're asleep. And here's what's happening neurologically. Your prefrontal cortex, that overthinking, the editing, the judging part, it quiets down. And your brain starts to shift into theta waves. Creativity increases, your intuition sharpens, your memory and your meaning, they start to integrate. And this is the same brain state where artists get ideas, where writers, they solve their plot problems. Scientists have big breakthroughs. And yes, where insight feels super spiritual. You're less filtered, you're less defensive, you are more receptive. And this is why the ideas, they feel truer, they feel more clean, they feel more aligned. And this is also why forcing clarity during the day, it really doesn't work. But clarity at night, it just arrives at the perfect time. Neville Goddard, he talks about something called first thought, last thought. And it's this idea that's really simple and really powerful. Basically, what you fall asleep thinking about is what your mind processes all night long. It's who you're becoming. The first thoughts you think about in the morning are the thoughts that dictate and set the tone for your day. And modern neuroscience agrees. So during sleep, your brain, it actually consolidates your beliefs, your emotional meaning, your identity level information. It processes everything that happened to you that day. So if you're falling asleep stressed, unresolved, and mentally cluttered, the last things that you're thinking about, your nervous system is going to stay activated in that direction. But if you offload the mind, when you capture the thought and release it, when you give your body, your brain, your nervous system a signal that says, you do not need to keep this on your mind. It's right here for when you want to pick it back up again. It's a signal. It is a signal that says you're safe, that you can rest. And this is nervous system regulation at its most practical form. It's not breath work, not affirmations, not forcing calm. Love all those things. They don't always work. Getting things out of here and onto paper, it's so simple, but it works because you're containing the content and you know where to find it when you need it. So here's something I really want you to hear, an important clarification piece. You do not need to act on everything you write. You don't even need to act on anything you write. You don't need to read it daily. Your brain is going to remember what matters most. The important thing, the act of writing is the integration. Okay, so what you need to know is the act of writing is that integration. So I review my notes maybe once a week, sometimes every 2 weeks, sometimes not at all. If it's a really aha thing, I'm like, then I'll review it that next day if it's really relevant and I want to take a peek. But if something's important enough that I've written down, it comes back when I need it, taps me on the shoulder, shows up in a conversation, a prayer, or a planning session. And this is wisdom. It's not laziness. I've got it written down if I need to reference it. But more often than not, it's just the getting it out of my head and onto paper that I need. So clarity does not always come from effort, right? Sometimes it just comes from surrender, because peace of mind, it really is the prerequisite for insight. Your nervous system, it needs that containment before it can create. And if your mind trusts that you'll capture the thought, it's going to just let you sleep. So here's what most people miss. It isn't just about better sleep. When you consistently do this, you're going to wake up calmer. Your days are going to feel less reactive. You're going to stop carrying these unfinished mental loops. Your nervous system, it's going to stay regulated so much longer. And what's the ripple effect it has? It affects your leadership. It affects your relationships. It affects your decision-making, your creativity, your health, everything. This small, teeny tiny practice has a massive ripple. And this is how success actually builds, not through force, but through alignment. It's another little tiny piece of the puzzle in you becoming even more aligned in your life and in your business. This is one of the reasons I love my morning success calls so much, because we don't just push forward, we integrate, we regulate, we create space to listen. We don't do these nighttime notebooks on the calls. I am sharing this because it'll help you get up and have a more peaceful sleep. However, we do create the same safety, the same rhythm, the same nervous system support that lets clarity emerge. So if you've been craving grounded momentum, a more thoughtful structure, and a community that actually sees you, you might feel very, very, very at home in the morning success calls. So if you want to learn more, if you want to consider joining, you can find the details in the show notes below or message me anytime. We can have a conversation and see if it's a good fit for you. So I want you to try this tonight. I want you to put a notepad beside your bed. No pressure, no perfection, no agenda. Just put it there. Something might come up. Write it down. If nothing comes up, it's okay. But it is there. It is a place for your mind to rest. You might be surprised what shows up, when it shows up, when you finally stop trying to think and you just allow. So, can't wait to hear all about it. Share your insights with us. Share your insights with our community. And I will see you in the next episode of The Abundance Effect. Bye for now. If you're listening and thinking, this is simple but powerful, that's the point. Small, grounded practices, they compound. If this resonates, save this episode or share it with someone who struggles to turn their mind off at night.